I'm at home. The boys are upstairs, they're asleep, so I've got to be kind of quiet. I don't normally do terrain videos, but I thought I'd give it a shot. Hello everyone, welcome to the Dungeon Minister. So, I wanted to make some goblin tanks. I had the war wagon and that made a big splash, but I wanted some other things to surprise them because they're expecting to see another war wagon or the same war wagon reused because I'm not crafting another one of those. But they expect to see the same thing, so I want to try something different. Now, I did start on one earlier, making it, and I want to make two of them though. So, well, let's just go ahead. Okay, now to start with, we're going to make the body of the little tank, and it's going to end up looking like this. I've made one, but I want two for the adventure, so I'm going to make a second. So it's all spiky and wonderful. Goblins like that kind of thing. You're going to need a glue gun, you're going to need toothpicks, quite a few of them. Probably not that many to start with, but you need some parchment paper because nothing sticks to parchment paper. And I'm using here just a packing tape roll. It's about the right thickness and the right diameter for what I'm doing. It creates the right shape. Okay, so to start with, and I hope my glue gun is warmed up, to start with, I'm just going to make a blob of glue right there, and as quickly as I can so that they don't this doesn't dry. I'm going to get as many of these things into it as I can, into that blob of glue. And the glue, of course, is going to hold it in place. Now, the more centered the glue blob is, the better my structure will be, the more symmetrical. Now, I don't anticipate it being perfectly symmetrical. I actually don't want it to be perfectly symmetrical. These are goblins, after all. But it should be enough so to make it workable. Looks like I'm almost running out of liquid in there. It's starting to firm up on me, but I think I'm getting up. I got them all in while it was still liquid enough. All right, so try to spread them out a little bit while it's still malleable. All right, now that you've got them in place, I think I put fewer in this time than I did here. I've got more spikes there, and maybe I can throw a couple more in. Let's see if I can get a couple more in there. Is it still malleable? It might be enough to do. You can tell I don't do this on the regular, these crafty type videos. Okay, that's good. Now, it's okay that those last two didn't get really solidified because I am going to add another drop of glue, and it is a drop. You don't want to touch it because obviously the toothpicks that aren't fully held in are going to lift out if you do that. So 2 or 3 drops, why not? This will all get covered up. It's not going to be plainly visible, so you don't have to worry too much about it. All right, and we're going to let that harden. While that's hardening, you're going to take some more toothpicks and something to cut them with, and you take off the sharp pointy bits. And you're going to look at your gaps and you're going to cut them about to the length that would fill those gaps. And it's good to have some way to catch the bits as they fly off. Unfortunately, my box of beads is catching all of the flying particles. Okay, and the lengths don't have to be precise because this will flex as you go. It'll move around, and then you can always chop them smaller. When you run into the situation, if what you've made is too long, you can always just chop it a little smaller then. Okay, is that hardening up in there? Still a little wet, still a little saucy, so I'm not going to chance it, but I can do while it's still in here. I can do this while it's still in here. You're going to want the tweezers because it does help get in there without either burning yourself on the glue or knocking things apart with clumsy fingers, which I definitely have. Love the hot glue for how fast it dries. Don't like the wisps. Nobody likes the wisps unless you're trying to make cobwebs, then they're brilliant. But you know what? You take the good with the bad, and it's just a price you pay. Okay, now you see I'm not making any real attempt to have these all at the same height on the, the same distance from the end of the larger poles. I'm not trying to get them all. That doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter. Again, I resort to, hey, these are goblins. What do you expect from goblin engineering, right? I figure the goblins are, their engineering works, but it doesn't look pretty. Their engineering works, but it's always ramshackle. Okay, you know what, one thing, let me take this out of here. It has dried now. So, yeah, we're not done with the supports, but you've got this big lump. You just come along and trim that off, right? And don't worry too much about toothpicks falling out, because you did put the lump in the inside too, right? That's really the one that's going to hold it. Again, this will be covered over if all things go well. So, we have the basic cage done. Again, not even. It's not as even as this one. This one has far more structural integrity, but again, the camera was not rolling when I did this one, so that's why it turned out better. Like, this one's a little wonky. First of all, I don't mind that much. Again, goblins, but if you just touch the hot glue gun to it, you can usually melt the glue enough to move it over. Almost. You have to hold it while it re-solidifies. There we go. Yeah, you can generally fix those minor snafus. Now this, and the same thing goes for the top. You get this big lump worked down into something more reasonable just with the heat of the gun. And while you're up there, leave enough of a small lump to stick in a spike. My theory is that goblins like spikes. They like things that cause pain, and any opportunity they have to cause pain, they will take it. Okay, we're going to make the floor for the tank, and we're making it out of just chipboard here. So it's a bit of an imprecise measurement. You want to roughly get where the cross supports are, but because the cross supports aren't all at the same height, don't worry about it too much. What you do want, though, is you want your the general shape to be right, and you want the floor to be smaller than the ends, the circumference out at the ends, because you want those to overhang a little bit. So you don't want it to be too far up, because we're going to add wheels to the thing, but the wheels aren't going to be super tall. So what we're going for is something that'll sit, well, we'll see. We'll see what we get, eh? Again, no plan. That is it. Okay. That's far enough under that the wheels will, they will still protrude, but not so far under that, but not so close to the edge that it doesn't have an overhang. I want it to have a little bit of an overhang. The idea being that these spikes sort of protect the wheels, so they're harder to get at. Okay, I need to make one for the other one. Look at that, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Sitting right about where the supports are. A nice overhang from the spikes. Yay. Alright, now here's sort of a decision point, is whether or not I want to actually access the inside of these things. And I'm going to say right now, I do not. I'm not going to bother trying to access the inside. I'm just going to have it as a unit. I will imply the interior. I don't feel the need to actually build out an interior. So, I go ahead and use more hot glue. So there's going to be more wisps. It is the will of the wisps to annoy me. You can hear the refrigerator come on. This is why I do not record at home. There is no room in our house between the refrigerator. You could probably also hear the water from the fish tank, the filter system from the fish tank. Between the fish tank, the refrigerator, the freezer out in the laundry room, the hamster in the family room, and the budgie in the front room, there's no place in this house where I can go. Oh, and in the front room you can hear the traffic on the highway outside. There's nowhere in the house I can go that's quiet, which is why I record in a basement at work. Come on, wisps. Alright. So now I've got a couple little tanks. I forgot to put the support beams inside this one, but really, to be honest, once you've got the floor on, you don't need it. It's not... Well, it's a little squishy, but it's not that squishy. It'll unsquish once that hot glue dries. I talked about wheels earlier, and you say, what wheels? What wheels? Aha, what wheels? Beads are going to be the wheels. Now, I thought about trying to make this so that, you know, the wheels actually rolled. You know, they actually moved. I could, you know, put a toothpick through there, or probably something thinner, because I think a toothpick's too... No, a toothpick would work. And then I'm trying to figure out how could I mount this in such a way that the toothpick would, you know, that the wheels would hit the ground, but the whatever was holding the toothpick on, I don't care. If it slides along, that'll be fine. So I am going to put a toothpick axle in the whole 9 yards, but I'm not going to bother trying to make the wheels turn. They can just sit there. If it slides across the board, if it rolls across the board, it's not going to be that big of a difference. Oh, look! I have 7 of them instead of 8. How convenient. Oh wait, I mean inconvenient. That's about the same size. I will have to paint it though. It cannot go on like this. It needs to be painted. So then, if I'm making axles, every rose has its thorn. Oh! Really, that almost is just fine without any cutting down. And you know, goblins like spikes, so maybe I should just leave the spiky ends on it. I think I will. I think I will. That's what I'm going to do. Mr. Wayne. Mr. Wayne, I won't do it, Mr. Wayne. I'm not going to bury another member of your family. This is me doing an impression of Rob Brydon doing an impression of Michael Caine as Alfred. Thank you. Thank you. And scene. Alright, there we go. 4 little axles, 2 little tanks. 2 little tanks from school, are we? Alright, so these 2 ought to be dry. Just making sure that the wheels actually do hit the ground. Yes, it does not. Like 1 or 2 spikes are close to the ground, but not too bad. That'll be alright, that'll be alright. Again, it doesn't actually have to roll. Just has to look plausible that it could. This is a likely candidate. What's the front, do you suppose, on this one? Well, let's see. If I was going to steer this around, I would want... I think that may be the front. One of the wider spaces, at least. Yeah, this one. This one's going to be different right here. Come at people. Everyone's hollering at the screen. No, you idiot! That's not the front. That is. I can send it this way. Yeah, I'm gonna send it this way. That's the front right there. So if that's the front, then I want my wheels in here. Hey boys and girls, it's time to make a violent destructive goblin tank with Father Aaron. Gee, Father Aaron, what are we doing today? Making a weapon of mass destruction? Again? Yep. Now, about covering these, I did actually find some scraps of actual leather. I thought that might be interesting to try to cover this thing in scraps of leather. You know, like the leather armored tank, and then I could let it pooch in a little bit to mark, you know, where the bars are, so that it actually does look like it is made out of actual poles. Because I would hate to do all this work and come to the point where I really could have just, you know, made a cone out of chipboard or something. That would make me feel rather foolish. Not that that would be a new feeling, but, you know, one likes to avoid it if at all possible. This is a nice big piece. The only problem is I went and I stamped it with some little leaf pattern earlier, which is just not a goblin thing. It just doesn't feel terribly goblinish to me. The other thing I wanted to try was shingles. And for that, we're just going to be looking at chipboard, really. So let's see. I think actually, on second thought, I'm going to use cereal box cardboard instead. It's a little thinner, it's going to be easier to work with, and it's going to be less waste in terms of losing the... This is really going to lose the shape underneath, though. The hope I had with the individual shingles would be that I could leave gaps here and there that would show the structure. Maybe I can still do that. Alright. So, these shingles, they can't be too big because the Goblin minis I have are about that tall. So, the idea of them lugging, you know, huge shingles into place is just not on. So they can't be too big. They can't be too small either, or this is going to take me all year. So I'm just going to have to pick a size and stick... Well, I'm not going to stick to it. That's the great thing about Goblins. Again, the aesthetic should be kind of higgledy-piggledy. With 3 boys in the house, we have an endless supply of cereal box cardboard. Alright, if I want this to be the front, and I do, I should choose my shingles before I get started. Yeah, I definitely am not the tidiest crafter in the world, or the best planner. Just a little bit. Hello, Johnny. Hello. Johnny, I make you look just like Boris Karloff. That works. Arsenic and Old Lace. Lovely play. That was actually my first high school play. I played Johnny. I played Jonathan, the black sheep brother who comes back and... That's gonna be fun. If you like the high-speed crafting covered over by music, then I suggest Dirty Basement Terrain crafting channel, because that's where I got the idea.
OSHA requirements there, Mr. Goblin. You gotta get that hatch a little smaller there. It's not safe to go into enemy territory with a big hole in your tank there. So you're gonna have to close that up just a wee bit, okay? Okie dokie, thank you. There's no mistakes in your world, just happy accidents. But Andy, you said you were gonna make the goblin hatch right there.
Yeah, I know.
You said the goblins were gonna go in and out at the back, and they were gonna jump in and jump out.
Yeah, I know.
So you put a nice hatch on there for them, didn't you?
Yeah, I know.
So, are you gonna put the hatch back?
No.
Why aren't you gonna put the hatch back, Andy?
I don't like it.
Ooh, I'm not going to plug that up. I got an idea for that. I'm not going to close this bit up there. It's kind of low down, and even when this is on, it's exposed, but there's a reason that I'm leaving it there. That is... Go. All right, here's our piece. You want to figure out the center point. It's about there, okay? And you'll cut to it. All right. Okay. Then, down it goes onto the form. Now you're going to put a little hatch, a little door, opposite from the front, which is why I figure out where the front is. So this is my front, here's my back. I'm going to put a little hatch here. So this one's going to start here. It's going to go around like this. So to do it first is you make the cone, right? That's going to go over it. Make it a little loose, not a lot, but a little loose, because you're going to want it to pucker in between the rims, the ridges rather, the poles, so that all the hard work you did making the frame shows on the table. you don't want to lose credit for that. So you leave a little bit of looseness just for the puckering effect. Okay, so if you've got where your door is going to be, line that one up about with that. And gosh, this one's going to get cut quite a ways in, isn't it? Quite a ways in. On that line. At least. Maybe even a little. Well, that may be about right. I don't know, a little further. Little further. I'm not going to go too far, and I may end up trimming this off later, although I'll tell you, it's hard to trim off. I speak from experience. It's hard to trim off once you have put the glue on. That's real hard. So, because it just doesn't want to cut, right? It just wants to melt. All right, so now you got that basic cone shape, but oh, that's way too long. It's way too long, Father. What are we going to do? Well, what we're going to do is going to get it in place. We're going to go around cutting. Snip, snip, snip. All right, and you want to cut it, at least I do, so that the spikes stick out, right? That's good. That's good. Some will actually, by drooping in, it will pull it a little bit up. Not much though. Now, once you've got that done, use some watered down glue, brush, okay. And what you're gonna do is
you're going to do, get your first edge in place.
Stay put.
Get your first edge in place. There's not a lot to work with there. I cut myself a little tight. Well, drat. Okay. First piece in place and just paint it down. And on this one, this first one, you want to wrap it around a little bit. It's not going to stay. It'll come out undone as I go. Because I'll be pulling and tugging on it, and I'll have to stick it back down later. But that's okay. And just paint over the frame as you go. Okay, so there it is, covered in canvas, essentially, it looks like. We'll come back and make it. It's going to need to be trimmed off of these spikes, but we'll come back and make it look like chainmail later. Okay, now I'm going to try this guy. Let's see if I can get anything like a decent result. My fancy brushes box. That's pretty soft. I don't have like nice brushes or anything. These are dollar store brushes. But this one's actually pretty soft. It's pretty good. So we'll see what I can do with it. Mostly fill in all the gaps, the nice gaps I made. That's what I could do with it. Oh well. I am most definitely not professional level on this. As I said, not a professional. Not even very good at it. But enthusiastic as all get out. Gee golly. Gee golly. Okay.
Not enough room. Camera.
Oh, I think I'll put this over here. Get that a little more centered. Silver. The thing I love about craft paint is it almost instantly dries. Not quite instantly, but close. Now, when I painted the black on, I really saturated it, so that not so much. But these lighter coats, it's dry to the touch. Dry to the touch. Don't need much. You notice there's no pipe coming out of this one, so I don't know how it's powered. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. This one's nuclear. The other one has an exhaust pipe because it's steam. This one's nuclear. Oh no! This sucker's electrical! Oh, that looks fun. That looks fun. I just gotta get the undercarriage. The wheels under there. And then I'll come back and add a couple of details. Oh, that's way more black than I need. Okay. My palette is going to be, again, in the gray and silver range. I'm going to also try to put a little bit of rust on that one and this one as well. Well, this one I'll do after it's dried. So I'm going to go again with a just a basic gray. Partly here also, we don't have a lot of texture because I was using cardboard, a chipboard, and you know, cereal packaging. So there's not a lot of texture to pick up. So a lot of the texture is actually going to be the streak of brush strokes, which can look bad, but I think in terms of metal, it can actually work. Well, we'll see. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll look horrible. Okay, try to get as much of that off, and I'm going to start on the back side so that if it does look horrible, it's not facing the players. Real light on it. Real light. Oh, I should do that under the camera, shouldn't I? I don't mind that at all, actually. I don't mind that at all. I don't know how much shine I want on this. I'm going to go very light on the silver. Very light on the silver. I don't want too much shine. Not too much at all. Tiny drop in there. Alright, so we got a bit of glint off of the metal, or off of the plates there. I think that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Brown. Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that. I don't know how well that shows up, how well the color shows up on camera, but it has a nice sort of rusted look to it. That turned out real well. Oh, I shouldn't wash that off yet because I wanted to do a little rust on the chainmail as well. The chainmail tank. Okay. There you go. Just a little bit of wear on it. Just a little bit. Now, because I keep grabbing this, the silver's kind of starting to go off of that, but not enough to worry about it yet. I'll set that one aside. To this guy. The other thing for which I have the silver, which is these spikes. Right, now, this pipe. Black. This is going to be like an old cast iron kind of thing, and I'll put a little rust on it too. So all that really means is touching up where I slopped gray on it during the initial coat. Cool. Okay. There it is. All right. So the other one isn't going to be finished in time for the video, and really it ought to ultimately look like this one. There we go. So we got our little goblin tanks. Here we go. The plate one with its hatches, which can lift up. I'll have them open partly for the battle, obviously, or rolling at you right there. Pretty cool, I think. And, of course, the chainmail one. One of the two chainmail ones, with its flap hanging a little bit open. And, it's flexible enough, I could actually poke a mini in there, get a mini inside the door, but then he'd end up rattling around and never get him back again. If I really wanted to, I could sacrifice a mini and glue him in the doorway, like an archer or something. Just glue him in the doorway. And while I'm here, I am going to touch up the spike, because picking it up by the spike has worn the silver quite down on it, and I want that to be prominent. Not that to look like a nasty metal spike. Okay, there you go. That is how I made the little Goblin mini tanks, inspired obviously by Leonardo da Vinci's. Well, there it goes. Yeah, it's inspired by that, and but just a little more crude because it's not made by a genius, it's made by goblins.
thank you very much for watching all the way to the end here. This has been a lot of fun. I like this kind of build where I start with a kind of vague idea and I just bash it together and see what I can make. You know what? I think they turned out pretty well. I think they turned out pretty well. Kind of fun. I want to say thank you to people like Battle and Barrow and Dirty Basement Terrain and Black Magic Craft, people who really know what they're doing with this stuff, and from whom I've learned, by watching their stuff. So anything that turned out well about this, credit to them. Anything that got screwed up, credit that to me and my impatience. but no, I think it went pretty well actually. It's not going to focus on that. Not as long as my fate here. I'll hide behind it. I'll focus on it then. I'm coming to get you. We need steam heat immediately. Yeah, cool. You can probably tell why I don't normally do terrain videos, and I'm not going to do a whole bunch of terrain videos because I'm clearly not very good at it. But I may occasionally do something like this again because it has been fun to do, and it's helped me think through things because I have to explain it, right? So, anyway. I don't have the horn here at home.